Every poison type Pokemon explained. Noggin by Lockstin Gnoggin.
You're all out of antidotes.
Never a good feeling.
Shouldn't have let that Survivor get the better of you.
The toxic.
Now you're panicking. Better get that Vulpix to a Pokemon Center quick. Poison type Pokemon. This type is one of the few types that gets forgotten, but when it comes down to it, the poison type is one of the better typings. Normally paired with grass or bug, this type has a good amount of moves that rely on damage over time rather than all at once. And with the introduction of fairy type, the poison type has skyrocketed up the ranks.
Oh, it absolutely has. Like, poison was pretty good. Like, so we've talked about typings, how like Gen 5 was like bug type's renaissance, right? Like bug type really got good in 5. The advent of poison typing, yeah, steel was already good before, but steel got even better. The advent of fairy typing made poison types just really kind of skyrocket in usage and popularity, I would argue, right? I'm sure that somebody has statistics and stuff in terms of like Pokemon choices over the years via certain measurements and stuff. I would be willing to guess that there was a big spike about Gen 6.
But what now if I told you that most poison-type Pokemon aren't actually poisonous? And what if I went further and explained what types of poison they use? Because that's what today's video is all about.
Okay.
But first, a bonus fact brought to you by today's sponsor, Catalyst Mints. Did you know that caffeine is technically a poison? To bugs though, not humans. Plants produce it so that when bugs eat their beans, they die from having too much energy. Then humans came along, took over the plant's breeding patterns to make caffeine even stronger. And now with Catalyst Mints and their newly released nootropic energy powders, you can get all of that energy without the guilt of energy drinks and fancy coffees. And that energy lasts a lot longer too. That's right, Catalyst has finally launched a line of energy powders and epic shaker bottles, from a delicious blue raspberry to a mouth-watering watermelon, and you can pre-order these energy powders, the link at the top of the description, and use the coupon code Noggin for a discount on top of the pre-order discount. Now let's get back to talking about people poisons that affect people. And hey, just
I'm gonna be honest, that was I give that a 9. I liked it. Very short, sweet, to the point, little less than 60 seconds. I thought it was a good ad read.
so you know, there will be a few gross images in this video in case you are easily nauseated. There's nothing too extreme though. So first off, let's cover that big claim. Not all of the poison-type Pokemon are poisonous. They may all be toxic or carry toxins, but they are not inherently poisonous. So
why is Cofagrigus here? Isn't Cofagrigus just ghost type? Yeah, no, type ghost. Why is Cofagrigus in that image?
let's go over what makes them different. It
Toxic
all
and
comes
poisons, yeah.
down to delivery. Being toxic.
If you eat, what was it? If you eat it and it poisons you, it's, oh my god, I'm trying to remember venomous versus poisonous. I always mix those up. Venom is if it bites you and gives you poison. Poisonous is if you bite it and it poisons you, right? I have to oversimplify it. I think I vaguely think I know where he's talking. I think I know where he's going.
Just means that there is a biologically produced chemical that alters the normal function of another organism. Once a toxin gets into a victim, the toxin travels through the bloodstream and gets into places it shouldn't, like the heart or the brain. And let's not forget about all of the other vital organs that toxins can shut down. This is why urgent care and antidotes are so important. So, what are the main types of toxin? Poison and venom. In the case of Pokemon, many of them are poisonous, but many aren't poisonous at all, but venomous instead. Let's talk about the difference here. A poison is a toxin that you ingest or come into contact with. Pretty much any toxin.
I was not expecting a Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny reference there. That scene is magical. Oh god, I love that movie. I don't know. This was when Jack Black was pretty cool. Like, I mean, he's still pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's been in so much in the past few years. I think we've just kind of hit like Jack Black fatigue, if that makes sense.
Toxin that gets into your body or bloodstream somewhat indirectly, like licking a colorful dart frog. Better yet, just touching them is enough for our skin to absorb the dangerous amount of poison. Most animals that are poisonous use it as a defense mechanism. Unlike most venomous creatures, a poisonous creature is normally unable to control their poison, as it is most likely naturally secreted out of their skin or special glands on the animal's body.
Okay.
There are many frogs, bugs, and even some birds that are poisonous. A good rule is, in the real world, don't try and catch something you've never seen before.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if you've seen a dart frog before, don't catch it. You dumb?
What's the we were talking about this when we were playing Metal Gear, the corn snake, right? How it has, one that looks similar to it, but it's also, that's they're supposed to be like white on red or whatever. Like there's supposed to be some kind of moniker that goes with it or some kind of like device to go along with it. But it's just like, don't touch it. Don't touch what you think is a corn snake, because it could not be a corn snake, right? Like, even if you're like, oh, but I've seen this before, this is what this is, right? Like, just still don't touch it. don't touch the snake.
But thankfully, most poisonous things won't go out of their way to attack you, like poison oak. It's a plant. Doesn't really go out of its way to strike you, but bump into it and you've got yourself a very uncomfortable rash. So the true definition of poisonous is something that delivers toxins without a direct delivery system. Now venomous, that's a whole other ballgame there. These guys bite, oftentimes literally. A venomous creature inflicts its toxins by injecting the toxins directly into a wound, often created by their own fangs or claws. A good rule of thumb for figuring out if something is poisonous or venomous is, did the creature bite you or did you bite it?
That's what we were talking about earlier.
If it bit you and you die, it's likely because it is venomous. And if you bite it and you die, chances are that it's poisonous. Now, if you bite it and it dies, does that make you venomous?
No, you just bit it really hard.
Regardless, the true definition of venomous is something that delivers toxins with a delivery system directly. So now we know that the Pokemon type Poison really just means toxic, or an animal that has toxins. Now, as always, to make things go a bit quicker and easier, I'm going to group up the Pokemon that are very similar. I'm looking at you, Ekans, Arbok, and Seviper. I feel like most of these Pokemon are pretty easy to explain, so I'm going to do a huge group of them, and any neat ones I'll point out.
So poison typing, much like other things as well, it very much feels like an archetype, right? The overarching type does encompass a lot of things. So he talks about in his bug video about how, certain things are kind of amalgamations of bugs. This is supposed to be referential of this specific bug. This is bug-ish, but like not really a counterpart, right? Or or even like certain interactions like Excelgor and Escavalier, right? Coming from Carablast and Shelmet, right? Like explaining certain interactions. Like, it's very much archetypal, like you are under the quote-unquote poison typing, the poison umbrella, without, you are poison versus you are venomous, you're poison versus you are venomous, or like you just produce toxins, right? Like, that's just one of the, I think that using it as a soft archetypal, label makes things make a lot more sense in Pokemon.
Here we go. We got snakes, Ekans, Arbok, and Seviper. Not all snakes have a venomous bite, but plenty of them do, and some venomous snakes are actually able to dry strike, or bite without actually injecting any venom if they so choose.
Interesting.
The king cobra, which Arbok is based on backwards, is one of the most venomous snakes in the world, and vipers, by definition, are venomous snakes. Most snake venoms classify as hemotoxins, meaning they affect the blood itself. Often it's a blood thickener, slowing down or even stopping the bloodstream. Ew. And this is gross. Next up, we have the insect or bug-like Pokemon. Poipole, Naganadel, Weedle, Kakuna, Beedrill, Venipede, Whirlipede, Scolipede, Skorupi, and Drapion. These Pokemon all have similar delivery methods of their venom.
Stingers.
Compared to snakes, these bugs generally have much stronger venom, albeit because they're tiny, you get way less of it. Let's look.
I guess that also makes sense that Naganadel is poison, right? Because it's a poison ultra beast. It doesn't necessarily have the bug typing, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've even seen Naganadel even used. Poison, right? It's a poison dragon. I forgot about that. But it makes sense, especially if we're using something that creates a toxin, something that's either poisonous or venomous to a higher degree. Would seem to transition it from bug type into poison typing. I like that. I like that logic.
Look at the Asian giant hornet for an example here. It's what Beedrill is based on. It's the deadliest bee there is, and there are plenty of cases of humans dying from a single sting.
It's so
and this is all thanks to its deadly neurotoxin, which blocks the signals between your brain and nervous system, leading to paralysis and cardiac arrest. And as for scorpions, their venom often acts the same way. But there are also scorpions whose venom will cause hallucinations, or cause effects similar to Viagra, before you die, of course. Don't go getting stung by scorpions. Spinarak and Ariados are also bugs, but they use fangs instead of stingers. Though unlike many snakes, venomous spider bites will often cause necrosis, or death of the cells, leaving big holes of rotten flesh within you. Tentacool and Tentacruel are cruel dudes based off of box jellyfish, one of the world's most venomous creatures altogether. Unlike normal stingers, jellyfish use a cell-like structure that has millions of stingers that actually detach and stay in your skin, constantly releasing toxins into your system. Often, jellyfish venom causes hyperkalemia, which raises your blood pressure far beyond what is safe, and causes your cardiovascular system to collapse.
Jellyfish are strange. They're one of the strangest organisms I have ever seen, especially when you get down into like the super deep sea. I think the Midnight Zone. There's like a jellyfish that looks like a drawstring pouch, and that's exactly how it hunts. Right, it floats around and it closes around something and it like draws like its body to a close. Dude, jellyfish, especially the sheer variety we have of them, they're so strange. Then you have things like giant isopods, which are my favorite. I actually really like giant isopods. We were actually talking about this during Resident Evil 4 when I was filming that recently, recording that for the gaming channel, talking about how I love giant isopods and how you really probably, I think Baka said people farm them, but like you would have to have specialized equipment to do so, because especially the giant ones, like really deep down, it's pressurized, right? Like you bring it up, it's gonna explode. So I'm assuming there's ways and stuff to do it, but that's also like being a responsible pet owner and stuff, right? Being responsible with animals and stuff. I don't know. It's another excuse for me to talk about giant isopods, like Gallicipod.
What really sucks is when you're stung by a jellyfish, you are often out in the ocean, so it's a race to see what kills you, the venom or the drowning. Up next are Pokemon that inflict their venom by biting or stabbing it into your system, similar to the way snakes attack. Really, they should be in the same category as the snakes, but I figured, snakes are so iconic they need their own category. Here we have Zubat, Golbat, Crobat, Mareanie, Toxapex, Krogunk, and Toxicroak. Interestingly, bats are not venomous at all. But if you stretch the definition of venomous, the vampire bat could be seen as venomous due to technicality. Its saliva has compounds in it that act as blood thinners, preventing bite wounds from clotting for an extended period of time.
Aren't bats usually tied in with disease, right? Like that's the big one. So by technicality, like biohazard, right?
This is likely where the Zubat line gets its poison typing. Mareanie and Toxapex are based on the Crown of Thorns
I love
starfish.
these things.
Though unlike that starfish, these Pokemon can shoot their spikes. This starfish, though, is a spiky nightmare of a starfish, filled with saponin toxins, which causes a sharp pain that lasts for hours.
No.
Krogunk and Toxicroak are interesting. Being frogs, you would assume that they are poisonous, like many frogs are. But then Game Freak went and gave these guys sharp finger bits they used to stab the venom into their prey. Though interestingly, the Corythromantis greeningy frog actually was only recently found to have small venomous barbs on its head. It kinda...
What was the headline fairly recently? Something about they found a sea creature, an ancient sea creature. I think it was the fossils of it specifically, that looked like Kyogre. Oh, I love it.
Headbutt stuff while kissing it with a cocktail of toxins. So it isn't totally out there to have a venomous frog. Next are Pokemon that use quills or spines tipped with toxins, not to be confused with stingers. They are much more like barbs, normally not used as a way to attack, but more of a way to just dissuade predators from attacking them. This is still technically a type of delivery method, so they are in fact venomous. Also, Mareanie and Toxapex could also fit into this category. But here we have Nidoran. Nidorina, Nidorino, Nidoqueen, and Nidoking. These Pokemon have backs covered in barbs and spikes, which cause wounds that inject venom into the attacker's bloodstream. By secreting a toxic chemical and coating their spikes, they become similar in concept to the rockfish. If you attack its back, you'll get a venomous injection. Quillfish is based off of a pufferfish, which
We were watching a video. It was a while ago. I think it was a Casual Geographic video, and they brought up the rockfish. And like this thing becomes a problem because like what is this thing's actual natural predator? I mean, it does, right? But like you think about like what hunts this thing if this thing is just that toxic?
I've heard is to die for. Literally. I've heard of food poisoning, but not of food venoming. I'm sorry, it's a bad joke. Unknown to many, the real-life pufferfish quills are tipped with toxins, so it's venomous to touch and poisonous to eat. A whole double whammy of fun.
Isn't that actually why it's really funny when dolphins do this? Because it stresses out the fish, don't get me wrong. It's pretty dark that dolphins do this. But because of that, don't dolphins do this because they get a little elevated off of doing that with pufferfish? Yeah, dolphins are... Oh, look at the dolphin. It's so cute. People that know, just no, stay away from dolphins. No, do not trust the dolphin.
Roserade and Roselia have nasty rose thorns on their hands that are laced with toxins. They use these thorns to stab enemies and deliver these toxins, making their toxin technically a venom. While most real rose thorns themselves aren't venomous or poisonous, many species of rose have a symbiotic relationship with the Sporothrix schenki on their horns, which is a fungus that causes sporotrichosis, or a really, really irritating, rotten rash.
Ew, gross.
Nihilego injects neurotoxins into the host it attaches to. That's the toxin that affects the brain and its functions, and it does so likely the same way jellyfish do, through very, very tiny barbs on its danglies. And with that, we are done with the venomous Pokemon. And next up are the poisonous Pokemon. You know, like the type suggests. So these upcoming Pokemon are either toxic by just touch, like Poison Ivy or Dart Frogs, or are poisonous if you eat them. Why you're eating them, I'll never know. Or poisonous gases that you could accidentally breathe in. Though I guess eating something pretty much is just touching something a lot and internally. So there's that. First,
look, all I'm going to say, someone in the Pokemon world has definitely tried to eat an Among Us. Right, we just know this is a thing, right? Somebody somewhere has tried to eat the Among Us. Probably didn't go well.
Up we have the Bulbasaur line. These weird cabbages are actually in fact on the back of a toad or frog-like dinosaur creature. And interestingly, one of the most common types of animal that is poisonous is the frog. So it could be either the frog or the plant part secreting poisonous powders or liquids all over itself. And then there's Grimer. Pure pollution. Remember back in the 90s when every cartoon was about pollution and pollution was just kind of purple-black goo that ran amok?
Oh, it was really funny going back and watch, because like there's definitely some shows that try to hide it a little more. You have like He-Man talking in like the original He-Man, like the ending bit, he'll just deadpan to you talking about like forest fires, and then he'll walk, and then he deadpans at the camera again and tells you about, you know, how it's your responsibility, right? Oh, sometimes they were really on the nose like that. But like going back and watching Indigo League, because I hadn't actually watched the full thing until like 2025. I hadn't watched the full thing. I also watched the episodes of like, well, the Lorelei episode, the Prima episode, that's technically Orange Islands, right? Like the Jinx Christmas episode and stuff. I didn't watch the Dratini episode as well. So I watched most of the band episodes, except for Electric Soldier Porygon, because I couldn't find it. And I also don't want to subject myself to flashing lights. Not that I'm super like, you know, not that I like have like photosensitivity issues, but I just choose not to. Right? I don't want to subject myself to that. Going back and watching the whole Pollution City one, I don't remember what it was called, but like where all the Magnemite at the power plant are on the fritz, and there's a bunch of muck in the water and stuff, and the whole message is about like cleaning up the city, and that's kind of, and you know, there's a very dejected officer Jenny, right? Or there was the one with the Diglett, right, where Gary shows up and they're trying to build this dam, and you know the Diglett keep like taking their Pokeballs back to their trainers, like Gary, or like the Diglett are just being like super passive, and it turns out that the dam is going to be impeding on the Diglett's natural habitat. Like, there are some things, like some episodes I feel were written a lot better, but some are like really ham-fisted.
Well, that's what we've got here. Good old toxic pollution sludge. So these two Pokemon are full of dirty sewage bacteria and polluted chemicals. So
And I love them. Muck is one of my favorite Pokemon.
much of them that it's dangerous to touch. And as for their alolan forms, they are
Yeah.
both just Technicolor pollution. No, really, just take a Grimer or a Muck and add in a mixture of motor oil and solid
Yep.
trash. And there you go, Alolan Muck. Oddish is a little odd. It's based on the mandrake plant, a highly poisonous plant that was used in many medieval-era poisons and potions. They cause
all sorts of hallucinations.
Gloom and Vileplume are a little different though, and I feel like they should be in a category of their own. There are so many Pokemon that share a trait of releasing poisonous gases or powders. In fact, I am gonna make that a category. Well then, next up are Pokemon that do just that, and we will start off with Gloom and Vileplume. They are based off of the Rafflesia arnoldi, a terrible smelling plant that only 1 in 1,000 people actually enjoy the smell of. This
I didn't actually know the statistic. That's actually really interesting.
plant is said to smell like the rotting carcass of a dead animal.
Amazing.
However, this plant is not the corpse flower. That is another plant, i.e., kind of like Victory Bell. The putrid stench of these flowers is used to attract flies and such to pollinate the plant. These Pokemon are likely made poison type based on the terrible smell and gas released by the plant, and they were even given a toxic pollen to reflect that.
Amazing.
Fungus and Amoongus are both mushroom Pokemon. They release clouds of poisonous spores when threatened, and much like real poisonous mushrooms, they are poisonous to ingest or to breathe in the spores from.
He just explained how Among Us is used in VGC and competitive.
Mushroom spores are pretty much their way of reproducing. If the spores happen to land on something that it could make a home of, then the fungus will start to grow. If
Actually, that was a point that came up recently playing Resident Evil 4. Because the Las Plagas survived in a spore-like form. Obviously, you know, they're a parasite, right? An animal of some kind. What is anthrax? Like, I pose this question because we know anthrax survive. Like, it survives in a spore form, right? Whether it's as it's found naturally, or whether it's like actual like bioweapon, like Soviet manufactured anthrax, like on Ural 7 Vozrozadania, right? Where the spore size is a lot smaller, which bypasses a lot of filters and masks, right? But I know it's a spore. Like, is anthrax supposed to be a fungus? It's not an animal, clearly, right? I'm also kind of scared to look that up because I feel like that's how you get on a watch list.
this happens to be inside of your lungs, then yeah, the fungus will start
Yeah.
to grow. Coughing and wheezing are floating balls of air pollution. They love to mix toxic gas with garbage and create a poisonous gas, and this gas also helps it float. Poison gas works the same way secreted poison does, except you breathe it in instead of touching it with your skin. I mean, obviously. So think nerve gas. You breathe it in and you fall over paralyzed and in extreme seizure pain until you die. Yay! Though I doubt coughing and wheezing are that bad though. Gulpin is modeled after a
A thing.
stomach? Maybe a gallbladder? This guy releases vile and disgusting gas as it digests. Although it may not be directly toxic, as the gas is said to interfere with normal breathing as it's so gross. Imagine just suffocating because something smells that bad you'd rather die than breathe it in. Swallow, though, is said to have poisonous stomach acid that it burps up onto foes.
Amazing.
Trubbish and Garbodor are living garbage bags made from special conditions that happened to give it life. This guy reeks of the bad stuff. Also, apparently they are quite burpy, as these little guys can knock out an adult and keep them bedridden for a week just by smelling a burp.
I feel like there's a New York joke in there somewhere because right, Gen 5 Unova was based off the U.S., right? I feel like there's a New York trash joke in there somewhere.
Gross.
I love
and as
Garbodor.
such, they can and do spew poisonous gases.
Amazing.
Bellsprout, Weepinbell, and Victory Bell seem to have a thing for eating people's heads, especially tasty blue-haired heads of comedic relief characters. Like mini
Oh,
plants,
James.
they are poisonous to eat, and also have poisonous digestive acid deep inside their bells.
I think it's actually really interesting. So I remember one of the Orange Island episodes. This is where Misty actually gets Poliwag, where what was it? Ash and Brock ended up getting sick, and so did Jesse, and I think it was James. I don't remember. Two Team Rocket got sick as well. But part of why they got sick was because they breathed in like the stun. So I think it was a Vileplume stun spore actually. So we actually do get to see like in the show, we get to see like what happens if a human is hit by one of these things, right? And it really was not good when they got hit with that stun spore, right? Like, yeah, it stuns your Pokemon, right? But there's definitely a resilience that people don't have, because it definitely had like Ash and Brock like bedridden. I vaguely remember the episode. I don't remember the exact details. I do know it was the episode where Misty caught Poliwag, though. They had to go into the lake, and they had to go find a specific type of grass to make tea out of or something. It was really cool.
And their powdery pollen is poisonous as well. Stunky and Skunk Tank really stink, and try not to breathe any in, because its gas is a powerful toxic gas that can be smelt over a mile away and lasts for 24 hours.
Gross.
God, I would hate if my Houndoom got sprayed. There is
I'm also surprised we didn't mention the stomach acid, but I guess it wouldn't be toxic by nature, right? For Victory Bell being a pitcher plant.
no amount of tomato paste in the world for that smell. Badoo, unlike its evolved forms, just releases toxic spores.
Was curious about that.
At most, Badoo could only cause some mild sneezing or a runny nose. It's just so cute. Venonat, Venomoth, and Dustox are all very similar to each other. These moth Pokemon shake their wings as they fly, releasing a multitude of different powders from their body, some of which can poison you on contact and others paralyze you. These Pokemon are definitely ones you want to stay upwind from. Typically, moths and butterflies aren't poisonous unless you eat them, but some moths can spread disease because of what they land on. They get all dirty and then land in something and leave behind their dirty dust. No good for people with allergies. Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar are more than just ghosts. They are poisonous ghosts. Now, Ghastly is pretty easy to pick out why he's poisonous. You see, they are 95% poison gas and 5% ghost, so a ghost just happened to find some poison gas and possessed it. In fact, this gas is so potent, they are able to cause an Indian elephant to go unconscious in just 2 seconds. Like,
I think it's also interesting as well, because I think we've seen derelict places, even polluted places. I think you see, not only would you see Muck and Grimer, right, but you'd also see like Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, right? I'm thinking like what? Well, Pokemon Tower is a little different, right? That's Lavender Town specifically. Lavender Town in the anime as well. I don't know if they ever went back to it. I'll have to check. There's a couple things from the anime that, like the whole like GS Ball Kurt situation, that was kind of just written out of the plot. That was really interesting to watch unfold. But like Lavender Town, I don't remember if that episode was banned or not because of religious imagery. It was either that or the episode where Brock talks to the ghost of the Shrine Keeper. I don't remember which one of them is banned. There were really cool episodes though. I think the Lavender Town one was actually banned now I think about it. Because of Misty, I think, holding a cross at one point, like the religious imagery showcased in children's show. Indigo League is wild, dude. Like it is a trip. The the dub especially, the Cowabunga. Oh my god, man! Like series is iconic.
that is so fast! I don't even think anyone's body can process poison fast enough to do that. That is ridiculous. You have to breathe it in, it has to go through your lungs and then into your bloodstream, and then the bloodstream has to be potently filled enough with it, and then that has to reach your brain. 2 seconds is ridiculous. Normally it takes like a minute. So I guess it could be that it could go straight to your brain because of Ghastly's ghostly bit. It just floats through your head, bringing the toxin with it. Yeah, that must be it. There's no logical explanation otherwise. As for Haunter and Gengar, they both have gaseous traits left over from Ghastly. Haunter is actually still made up of gas, and loves to lick people with its gasless, deadly tongue. And Gengar can disappear into a shadow as if it were dissolving into gas, so both of them are capable of becoming poisonous gas at will. Skrelp gets bullied quite a bit due to its size, so it will release a thick cloud of poisonous spit in an attempt at scaring the attackers away, much like the ink of a squid, except toxic. Dragalge, though. Now this dude, this guy's poisonous spit is so acidic it can erode the hull of tankers. In fact, this isn't that far off from real seahorses.
Really?
Not the tanker part, the poisonous bit. There are plenty of species of seahorses that use poison to ward off predators, and they need it. Have you ever seen a seahorse try to swim away from something?
I always forget seahorses exist because I never see them in documentaries I watch. Well, I mean, that's also just because I choose different areas of the ocean, right? Rather than areas where it's very vibrant and stuff like this. I very much look at like Twilight Zone, Midnight Zone kind of things, like the abyss, right? So I definitely see a different side of the ocean than I think a lot of people are used to in the content that I watch. I always forget seahorses exist, right? Until I play something like Pokemon, where I see like Skrelpo Dragalge, or I play like Majora's Mask and I remember the Seahorse Love Quest exists, and I'm like, someone who's never played Zelda Majora's Mask, like, what do you mean Seahorse Love Quest? Don't worry, there's a Seahorse Love Quest. Don't worry about it. Your goal is to find Seahorse Love, and you beat the crap out of giant eels for it. You're welcome. Go play Majora's Mask. Very accurate descriptor of that quest, actually. What do you call it? But yeah, I always forget seahorses exist. Because they're just like, you look at this thing just, it's so odd to watch swim. Like, it is such an interesting, like, creature from an evolution standpoint. But then again, I guess we also have, like, Spidey sea stars, like what Toxapex is too, right? And also jellyfish. Man of War as well, right? Just colonies of stuff. Oh man, especially in like the abyssal zone, there's like colonies of organisms that get like super long. Man, oh, I love the ocean. I don't get to talk about it enough.
They are just the worst at it. And lastly, Salandit and Salazzle are special. These two are able to poison the otherwise immune to poison Steel-type Pokemon. These small lizards release a poisonous gas from the base of their tail. This gas is quite fragrant and can cause dizziness in humans. Some have figured out how to turn it into a perfume. This gas is quite stronger once it evolves into a Salazzle though, with the ability to almost mind control the males of the species.
Nope, I don't like that. Nope, do not the lizard chat. Do not. I know, what is it? Palworld gets close with Lovander. I know a lot of people were like, but that Lovander, though. Do not the lizard chat.
So clearly it is a slight neurotoxin, but in the case of poisoning steel types, it must be due to their corrosion ability. Their poisonous gas is corrosive to metal, which does not come as a huge surprise. There is a huge list of poisonous gases that can corrode metal over time. And
interesting.
That's that.
I mean, that makes sense.
When you really think about it, real-world poisonous and venomous animals are the closest things we have to Pokemon, and they are scary. And now more than ever, I want a platypus Pokemon.
Yeah.
As if they weren't strange enough, they also have venomous barbs on their back legs.
Yes, they do.
What the heck? Why isn't a platypus a Pokemon?
Yeah, that's one of those weird ones that like what is it? The platypus and the capybara, even at the like tail end of Gen 9 where we're at right now, right? Like, we still don't have those. It's wild to me.
Better be a water starter that's a platypus that eventually becomes water poison type. That just has to happen. So, what is your favorite poison type Pokemon? And until next time, never stop using your noggin.
What a baller video. I absolutely love reacting to these because it's recontextualizing the information that you know, right? And information that you've dealt with, Pokemon for a number of years, and just kind of like doing it in a different way, right? Like the information is presented in a different way. It really makes you think. And I honestly love this. This is honestly super cool. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully all of you did as well. Thank you, Noggin, for an amazing video. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and hopefully a lot of you did as well. I know a lot of you liked the bug type video, and I've been trying to make my way steadily through and try to get to some of these. I'm at the point where I'm trying to react to a bunch of different things. That way I don't feel like a one-trick pony, and I don't feel like I'm being disrespectful to the source material as well, because I'm just being a derivative of like a single or like 2 or 3 different channels, right? I try to branch out. So I do apologize to people who've been waiting for a while on these. I honestly enjoyed this. Hopefully you did as well. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next one.